have a tough road ahead of you. But what we're saying is we want to help. We want the place to look
Yeah,
good.
you do.
If we can all get together and help it
Yeah.
look good, just get the windows going, and half the complaining will go away. Not all of it will ever go away, but at least if it looks nice walking down the street.
Go Judy first.
Okay. Hi, Arianna. Trellis. I don't care what's going on inside. In Manhattan, you never see a construction site shed that's not at least painted. Having raw wood is really disgusting. No one could at least make trellis spend another few hundred dollars and at least paint that shed. I mean, nowhere else do they get away with this. You don't let stores that are under construction in Manhattan look like that. I mean, it's a one thing that you walk out of my building every day, and what is the eyesore? It's either the trellis construction site or the bathing trunks in the front window of the hardware store that are still hanging there from last summer. It's really depressing. You have to figure that there are 14,000 people on this island. Maybe by next year, 15,000. We cannot wait for the utopian Cornell people to rent the stores. We cannot promise the people the earth, moon, sea, sky, and fire, because you're not going to get it for at least 3, 4, 5 years. And since I can't even break ground, you know, it's going to be a while. And I really think that we cannot sit here waiting for the Cornell vision to come of postgraduate students who all they do is drink Starbucks coffee. We need our community stores rented now, at maybe at a lower rent, to get people in here to serve the community that's here. I need a place to buy a New York Times. I need a place today to buy a manila envelope. I need a place, if I don't want to schlep all the way to Gristides, to buy a lottery ticket so I can eventually move out of the island and, you know, win the $1 million lotto. But I mean,
you're not going to buy an apartment yourself, then?
I'm sorry, I'm committed to River Cross. But I just feel that, like Margie, no, I just feel that you people are looking to the Cornell utopia. They're not here. They're not going to be here for at least 3 to 4 years. You have to serve the 14,000 people who live here. I run the visitor center kiosk. I know how many people walk out of the tram and the subway. And down there's no one walking south of the tram anymore because there's no Goldwater. That was another big blow to the island merchants. There's less people, they go right to Kohler, and since it's a long ride, they don't walk. A lot of people used to go to Goldwater. 2,000 employees and over 1,000 patients are gone, and they're visitors. That's a big blow. We're just looking at this place like utopia is coming. We have to look at the place of who's here now, what services we need now, and how to fill up the stores now. Give them a 5-year lease at a good deal so that they come in here, they serve us who are here. And then, you know, once the magic Aladdin's lamp is rubbed and good things happen. But in the meantime, I'm depressed. And I don't get depressed that often, but I won't even have a candy store. I won't have a stationery store to buy all that high fructose corn syrup candy. It's just like you're pulling everything out from under us. You know, and also the decking is beautiful. The decking is beautiful if I look up. It is a bleak, long corridor down Main Street. No planters, no flowers, no nothing. It's perfect for bowling alley. There's nothing. Yes, you did clean up the storefronts, you made things look better, but it's worse in a way because we now see how bleak it is. I don't understand this. You wouldn't do this with your developments in Manhattan. I see Monadnock's name all over the place. I see everything you're building in other boroughs, and especially in Brooklyn, and all these wonderful developments you're building. And out here we're being treated like the stepchildren. Well, we don't have to put much into it. I know the woman from No Longer Empty. I meet her at meetings every month, and I'm going to see her next Thursday. Twice she said to me, you weren't interested. I mean, this is it's No Longer Empty. They put art installations in vacant spaces. This is our community. And I think it's time that you realize that we 14,000 people who are here now need the services. I don't care about the 10 years from now, 8 years. We need the services. We need our stores. We need you to get our merchants to stay, to be happy. And forget about the people coming in the future. This is our home, and we need our services. Thank you.
I
just had some very, very practical, comments. I want to know when things start to deteriorate on Main Street in the areas that you worked on, for instance, in front of, formerly Eastwood, a lot of the paint along the bottom is chipping, the black lamps get covered with dust. Who is in charge of that? Is that RIOC, is that you, or is that the owner of Eastwood?
So it depends on where it is.
And also, I'm just throwing this out, and on the other side of the street along Rivercross and some of the others where you painted the orange panels below the windows, a lot of those are peeling off. You painted them gray and they looked great, but now they're peeling. So again, whose responsibility is that? Who's watching out for that kind of thing? Because that's also disappointing because it's not very old. That it's not, maybe it needs to be a solid panel put in there as opposed to something that was just painted and is gonna continue to peel every year. And also, about, I don't wanna belabor what Margie was talking about the windows, but it's you should have, when you didn't answer her question really about what is the standard that Hudson Related expects once a store is empty. And it doesn't, I'll give you the one that's covered with brown paper if you tell me that they're in active construction right at this moment, but it has been a long time and there are many other empty stores. And it's a very simple thing. There's all kinds of film that can be put over windows when stores, just reflective film. If you can't lend it to some of these institutions, this reflective film that just, it looks like a mirror image of Main Street when you're walking down. I'd rather just look at a blacked out window or an actual mirror film, something that just reflects people and light and you're just not looking in. And that should be a standard thing that you supply the minute a store is closed. And it could last right through construction. It's just a really simple standard thing. And I also would like to end, the benches on the Eastwood side, they need to be turned around. They just need to be turned around. It's just ridiculous. No one sits on them. They're stuck with their back to the traffic, the island-shaped benches. The ones on the other side of the street are facing out into the community, and I understand it's because they're not under shelter, but they're terrible. You sit with the cars pushing right behind your back. When it's raining, you'll get rained on, and you know that I supported taking down the glass, and what you did there I thought was great. But the benches, who would want to sit on a bench facing into public safety, facing into the empty hardware store? Turn the benches around, face the community, put them with their backs to the stores. It's just a screw out of the Z-brick. And that's my last comment. I'm probably alone in this, but I know I'm not alone on the island. We need new sidewalks. Forget the Z-brick. We need new sidewalks that would make all of our part of Main Street look fresh and new and go with the storefronts. And we just, the Z-bricks have had it there. And most of the island, I think they look terrible. And I know I'm alone in this room, but I'm telling you, I'm not
You're
alone
not
on the island.
You're not alone.
And-
You're taking up a cudgel which I had to put down 10 years ago.
Right.
No one knows who owns the sidewalk.
Right. So it's just that would make a huge difference if our Northtown part of the island had fresh new sidewalks to go with the fresh new stores. Look at it in Southtown and you'll see the difference. And I'm dying
There's
to
one
know.
that's not your problem.
No, I'm throwing that in there because it's part of what we want Main Street to look like, and I've got all the key players. I've got all the key players in the room. I understand that, but the people that need to be involved in this are all in the room. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And then my last question is, can you just give us an update on what really is happening with Charles?
Yes. So
Thank you.
to address your question, I think in order. So we've hired a company to come and clean the benches and clean the paint and all of those types of things. We are meeting with our contractor to talk about some of these issues that are coming up, like peeling paint, and a few of the lights have been flickering, which I'm not happy about. So they're all on our radar and being worked on. We don't control the sidewalks, we don't own them, we actually don't even own the arcade. We had to go through every building to get approval to do every single thing. I know you know.
As I said that for the group.
Right. So, we can only take responsibility for so much. And I think that goes to, putting planters there as well. Judy asked about that before. Trellis. So trellis, I don't know how much you do or don't know about trellis.
Only what I read on the blog.
I don't know if I
Apparently
read
they
what
were
God said.
they were trying to knock down a load-bearing wall, and that wasn't good, and because nobody communicated with the building, and therefore, everything is screwed up, and he's gotta go back to square one.
Yeah, so
Sort of.
it's kind of what's going on. So I guess they didn't do a probe into the wall that they thought that they could take down, and when they did their when they removed everything, realized that there was a structural wall there. We are talking with them about if they can change their design around a little bit, or they're going to have to go through a process because, again, we don't own the buildings. If our tenant wants to make structural changes to the buildings, it has to go through us, it has to go through the building owner, and there's a bunch of different approvals that have to happen. Engineers are involved, and it's prolonging the process.
It's kind of mind-boggling. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's kind of mind-boggling the length of time it took to get Trellis to close. I mean, we kept hearing about their renovation for, I don't know, years.
Decades.
And they finally close and start, and then something like this comes. It's kind of mind-boggling. So
No,
I
it
don't
shouldn't
know.
be
if-
mind-boggling. I'm sorry, no.
No.
Always, not always.
Oh, it's not.
Very often in renovations, when I was a house renovator for years, you come across conditions which you did not know existed until you start beating your way through the building.
Yeah.
And it's very common. And I don't know if they're proceeding to fix the problem fast enough, but you get your engineers in there, you get your owners in there, you figure out what kind of solution is possible and what it's going to cost. And while this is all being negotiated, things stop. I had an uncle in the construction business. He retired at the age of 65. At the age of 80, he was still making a living collecting old, what are called change orders.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, the load-bearing wall one was the one that got me, because to me, that's kind of a, construction 101, you walk around, okay, that's
Well, you
load-bearing.
have a floor plan. You know, I do this for a living as well.
Good.
And I'm just telling you, you have I know things happen in renovation, but it shouldn't take months and months and months of conversations to settle a problem. I mean, all the amount of money everybody is losing is unbelievable.
Months and months and months comes out to 6. Trellis closed 4 months ago.
How
It
long-
hasn't been forever. They closed in September.
They said that they
Till
took,
January.
they announced to the community that the whole thing was gonna take 4 months, so.
Yeah, well, we do. Did you believe that?
I didn't believe it, but now the community thinks it's never gonna reopen.
That's
So can
true.
you tell me it's gonna reopen?
Yeah, they have every intention of
Okay,
reopening.
'cause the community really feels that
Yeah, I
it's
hear that a lot.
never happening.
I go to my foreign office. They have the sports meetings. I hear it all the time. I don't know.
But
You have a
we
satellite
don't
office like you
control
want to do.
we don't control what a tenant wants to do, right? Like if they want to keep the design as is and they need to remove the structural wall, then it's their decision to go through this process, however long that process takes, and pay rent during that time period, and do their renovation and
I understand that, but the reason you guys got involved with Main Street in the first place was to improve what we look like for Southtown,
Thank you.
correct? So yes, you didn't do it out of the goodness of your heart. You wanted the island, the old part of the island to look better, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad
it's
you're here.
another opportunity.
Okay.
It's an opportunity for
But-
you.
I'm just saying that, for when you say I don't have any control over what a tenant does when they're renovating or what an empty space is, but or
It's not
like
that I don't have control. It's that I can't say to them, you have to do it this way. We've tried to persuade them, but they very much, just like the exterior of their facade, wanted to do it a certain way. We're talking to them. They may change their minds. They're not in default of their lease because of it.
No, I understand, but I'm talking about going forward. There should be some more in your leases. There should be some more standardized things that say this is what's required to leave behind, or this is how it has to look once you sign the lease.
We have those things, but for all.
Are you
for
happy with the wooden sheds outside Trellis?
I
That is
understand
acceptable
what
to
you're
you?
saying. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I hear you.
What color should they paint it?
I think it was actually Judy. It would be
What
green.
color should they paint it?
We'll get some artists.
You get the kids to do graffiti.
No, no,
Say.
We have a lot of very talented artists on this island who could do something.
Okay, anyone else from the board?
Yeah, I just want to concur with something I heard from behind me earlier. I think there was a failure of reperception when they took out the glass, which I also didn't mind a bit, it looks nice under there. But they put the benches where the old concrete benches under the glass had been, which is not any good when there's no glass and stuff behind it. And I agree that the benches should be moved against the buildings. So you sit against the building and look at, and you're protected in the weather. Because people are protected on those benches.
That's right.
It's a better view.
Traffic.
Whether it's raining or not, it's just a better view.
Like in front
Yeah.
of Coach
Well,
Scott's.
look, staring at river cross is not necessarily very nice.
I was talking about staring at Coach Scott's.
But anyway, yeah, I'm glad to hear someone else speak up on this issue.
Is that something that could be discussed? Is that reasonable? How hard is it to just, move a few benches?
Because it's important, because the
They're
benches can't get
useless.
used.
They're useless
The
there.
benches have
And every
dirt
time
on them
I'm
and
here, I
snow
see
and everything
people
else.
sitting on them, so.
Yeah, well, you're not here on a rainy day.
Yeah,
or a
and
windy day
I'm
or-
an expert on those benches, because I'm an aging fat man who needs to sit down sometimes.
It's not
on his way to a
pleasant to
meeting.
sit in a place with the cars whizzing right
Exactly
behind
right.
you.
Yeah, it's uncertain.
Yeah, you're right.
Feel uncomfortable.
Plus, where they're located, as I said, you don't wanna look into the police station, the hardware store,
I want the
I
hardware
think
store.
one would have to measure how much space we have to walk, because the benches are underneath the columns.
They're between the columns, I
Yeah,
understand.
between the columns, and if you put the benches on the side of
Okay.
the wall, you're really lessening.
Charlene, that's a reason not to do it, or to slow down the process. Meanwhile, I'm uncomfortable walking down the street. So, when you make that decision, do your measuring. Let not that be a lengthy holdup.
But it's all-
And also, I'd like not for this to get antagonistic, because it's very hard, because you're getting dumped on, and you guys can't be pleasant, and we don't like the looks of things. If there's some way we can just all come together and get this stuff to look good, we all have the same objective. So let's kind of, if we can do it, I get that it's a pain in the butt to do everything and get all the stuff to look nice, and then you have somebody come in and say, now I wanna rent it, I just fixed it up. We're willing to put in that work with you guys. If it's a community kind of project with Tad, with whatever, even just getting the film that Arianna was talking about. I would think they would be happy to have us do that, and then everybody's happy, and the new tenants that come in will be happy, and everybody's happy.
Talk about the benches, it's just that, there's a safety issue.
Well,
Yeah,
it's also, I guess Roosevelt Landings would be interested in the other benches in place.
Don't they own 5 feet from now?
And
Yeah.
below the benches has concrete now, because they're built.
So, yeah, a lot of.
There's a lot of issues.
Okay, I'd like to,